No one in America should be hungry. The richest country in the world. Hungry.
How much money do you spend for food a day?
A day?
Yeah.
Like at least like even if we have everything home, we always need something outside. You know, like maybe $50. Because in every country there's some kind of people in everywhere.
So do you think free food is a good thing to like give the homeless people?
Free food?
Yeah.
Is it a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because helping people is always something good.
I got interested in school food when my son was 9 years old and was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I wanted to see what he was eating, and I didn't like what I saw, so that's how I got interested.
What does food insecurity mean to you?
What it means to me is when someone does not know where the next meal is going to come from and does not give them a good sense of security. About 65% of the kids in Minneapolis schools qualify for free and reduced, which means that they live at a level that they don't know where their food comes from. So it impacts a lot of kids in Minneapolis. The school lunch program started around World War II, when actually the government found out that most kids in this country were underweight. So they decided to start the school lunch program. When the free lunch program started, I'm not really sure when that started.
Why was the free lunch program needed in places like Matthews Park?
Well, during the summer, when there is no school lunch, because there's no school, we also offer a free lunch program to summer school and also to parks that come and ask for it because they have a large amount of kids that really need the food and they have no other way of getting their food. So that's why we have about 80 parks that provide food during the summer. Kids an opportunity to have food which otherwise they might not have. So when you think of it as a community, we're all in this together and we're trying to help each other. So it's really a great way to help families. Well, we have some regulation of what we have to serve, but we really try to serve a good meal with some fresh fruits, vegetable, a sandwich, and you can eat a bag of potato chip and you might feel full, but those are all empty calories. So actually, eating a bag of potato chip, you're still starving because you have no nutrients going in your body. So it would be just like putting water in a car. You're filling up the gas tank with something, but it's not gasoline to make it move. So healthy food is as important as just getting food, because a lot of food have no nutrients.
My name is Angie Thornhill, and I work for the University of Minnesota Simply Good Eating. Well, food insecurity can mean quite a few different things, but mostly what I talk about in my job is eating more healthy foods and where you can get access, or how do you find those healthy foods in your neighborhood. Well, in Minneapolis in particular, it's hard because a lot of families in Minneapolis rely on public transportation for transportation to the grocery store or to get their food. So if you don't have that and you need to get a meal for your family, you have to find it in what's closest to you. And sometimes that could be a convenience store or a restaurant that isn't necessarily going to have the most healthy options for you. Simply Good Eating is basically that, teaching people how to eat nutritious and have it be simple. Being able to make really good food choices and having the education to make those choices. So I get to go to all the different communities and talk about how to cook, how do you eat healthy, what is a healthy food, and if you want to eat healthy, where are some ways that you can get the healthy food from that isn't going to cost you a lot of money.
How does your program help hungry people in Minneapolis?
Well, my program, we get our money through what's called SNAP education. So if you have an EBT card, That is where you would get your food from, and we help those people who get those benefits, show them how to eat healthy, and then I get to show them how to cook and cook with them. So we make a lot of really good recipes and show them how to work with the money that they get. The premise of 4-H is gardening and food, and if you can grow your own food or know where to get really good food, and then what do you do with that food, you guys can definitely make a big impact in your community by sharing that with others, your friends, your family, you know, everybody in your community, maybe even cooking for them. An EBT card is the card that you get, or your parents may get, where it gets money put on there for you to help with your food. So if you go to the grocery store, you may see it's kind of like a credit card. They scan it and they can get food at the grocery store. The state of Minnesota, I believe we have over 200 nutrition educators. So we have a certain number in each county.
Okay.
So we're out. In Hennepin County, I believe we have 14, if I'm correct, still.
And how did you get interested in this line of work, or how did you start out at something?
Well, for me, it's because my dad passed away from diabetes. And being Native American female, diabetes is something that affects my community. And that all starts with food choices. Some of it can be just your health history. Sometimes there isn't anything you can do, but a lot of times obesity and diabetes go hand in hand. So I wanted to make a difference in my community, and I have fun talking to people. So this is a really nice opportunity for me to make a difference.
Food lines, so you go stand, get a food ticket, you go get a meal, whether it's breakfast or lunch, usually, rarely where it's dinner, and they give you food, they give you that meal. I have gone days without eating, and you learn to go days without eating. It's kind of, because no one's gonna give you food. You know, you can't work for food. The government's not gonna give you food. So I learned young and quick to just not eat. Oftentimes the meals at school were the only meals that I would eat. And I had, like I said, I have 3 younger siblings. So a lot of times if I wasn't eating, I would put that food, you know, what I could for my siblings who got, you know, back to the shelter or whatever, so they could eat. Yeah, you just learn not to eat. You learn what to eat. You learn how to save food. You learn, you know, how to keep it. And of course people look at you funny. So I mean, as far as like insecurity goes, of course I felt bad when people would look at me and I would have 6-7 string cheeses from school, and I hated string cheese, but it was something to eat, you know? So of course I would feel bad when people would judge me, and you could see it when they look at me, but you do what's necessary, so it doesn't matter. That was better than begging people for definitely not healthy food. People, they give canned goods loaded with salt, with sugar to homeless people, and you have to make do. You know, they'll give you a piece of fruit, or they'll give you potatoes, or you know, things that are rationally, if you don't have a home, you can't cook potatoes, you know, but that's what they'll give you. Or they'll give you boxes of quick and easy rice or bread, or you know, stuffing in April, like things that it doesn't make sense in it, and especially for, like, my mom was dealing with when she had kids, making sure that we got the nutrition. That was probably the hardest job, because they'll give you canned peas, they'll give you canned fruit syrup, they'll give you dried apricots, just junk food, really. And you get a free dessert. A lot of times you get a free dessert at food shelters, and it's like, I mean, it's cake, 5, 6, 10 cupcakes, and it's what you'll eat. It's important. What I learned, it's important that you eat healthy no matter what. You know, it doesn't matter your state of having a home or living. But what's there's so many homeless people that, and then not nutritional food is cheaper, and so it just makes sense. You give all of these people who are homeless, because there's a lot of them, the cheap food. And the problem is that when you're homeless, okay, you don't have access to water every day, so you can't shower, so you can't brush your teeth, so you can't take care of yourself as someone who does have a home, and so you will wind up with homeless kids who have teeth falling out at 18, like falling, because you can't go to the doctor. There's no one who's going to take you to the doctor when you get sick, and even if you do, there's no one who's going to pay for it. So if you're eating Skittles and vendor food, and you're eating syrup, and you're eating salt all the time, your body's not getting the nutrition that it needs. And so, I mean, headaches, food headaches, which are the worst, which is when, you haven't eaten the right nutrition and your brain starts to eat itself. It makes the homeless people more prone to be the ones in the hospital, and the ones who are getting sick much more, and the ones who are losing teeth unnecessarily, and it's bad, and they can't take care of themselves. So what they eat has a direct effect on their health, not only now, but if they get a home in the future, and definitely like their mentality, taking care of themselves too.